Welcome back to ABS, where innovation never sleeps. Just like our last video with the 400 aftercooler, we're going to do the exact same thing with the 200 aftercooler. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller. We only have one fan, as you'll see. In this video, we're going to show you exactly how to put it together step by step. So when you think you're getting this, but it actually comes in this, in two boxes, you're not scared. All right, with just a few simple tools, you're going to be able to put this thing together in only a few minutes. So step number one, take a 7/16 wrench and you're going to take this closed ball valve out and we're going to put a 1/4 inch ball valve so we can allow the water to drain, especially in those colder climates. When it freezes in the winter, you're going to want to take this out and put in this ball valve right here, which is going to come in your kit, and then you can drain the water when you're done blasting. Super simple. This plug comes out. Give yourself a little more room. Thread this on in. There is a certain spot you want this to go, so it can be just hand tight. You don't have to crank on it, but right about a little bit more. So it's not going to hit this when you close it. Right about there is about the perfect spot. Okay, now we're ready for step two. Okay, after you did step one and the ball valve is in, there's going to be 4 M8 by 1 1/4 inch bolts that we're going to put into the sides to put in the foot. So step two, put the foot on, and you can actually do this by yourself, as you saw in video one, which, by the way, if you watch that one, this is basically the exact same thing, so you can probably skip this if you've already done it. But we're going to do this. So give yourself a little bit of room if you're by yourself, so then you can allow this to not hit while you screw this in. So take this. This is the base. Gets a little tricky here, but you should be able to do one at a time. Just like so. Now come over to this side. There we go. Now you can do the other two. Okay, so now take your wrench. For this, it's a 13mm socket. And all you got to do is tighten all 4 of these bolts down, and then we're going to stand it up, and if it's not straight down the line, then you can readjust it. Nice and snug, you don't have to over tight it. Now we're going to stand it up. We just stood it up, and as you can see, it's leaning a little bit towards that way. So we're just going to loosen these bolts and straighten that out. Okay, we're almost ready for step three. So we just straightened this out, and if you don't want to straighten it out, you don't have to, because it's not going to affect the performance of this as long as you get it close. So we're ready for step three, and the first thing we got to do is to take off all 3 of these bolts on the top. And the reason for that is so we can get our handle in the top. And there's an order that we're going to do this cover on that we're going to show you as you do this, because if you don't do it in the right order, you're going to have to take it apart and do it again. Okay, so now we're going to take off these 3 bolts. These are a 14mm, but if you're in a pinch, you can also use a 9/16. Okay, we just took these 3 bolts off, these 14mm bolts, but it is important. You don't have to keep all 3, but at least keep 2 of them, because we're going to attach them on the other side to fasten down the bottom side of the front cover. Flipped it around, and the order matters here. So before you can put the front cover on, like I was saying, you have to put this in first, and this matters too. So these 2 bars are to protect the fans on the back, so you want to make sure as you walk around here that it faces the same direction that the fan is. So if you want to lay this down, it won't crush and hurt your fan. So, all right, now that we got our handle in, we can go ahead and put these 2 1/2-inch bolts in. And we found that the easiest way to put the cover on is to put these through the front first. And don't forget to use your washers. And then you can rest these on here. just like so, and now we're ready to tighten it down. Okay, now take your 1/2-inch wrench and either your socket or your impact and try to line this up as flat as you can with the top here while you do this, just so it makes it look a little bit better. All right, we fastened the top of our frame. Now we're ready to take those same 14mm bolts from earlier that we took out on the top, and now we're gonna put them on the bottom. You can reuse your washers on the front and back of this bottom one. Grab your 14mm socket and your wrench, and then you can tighten these down. There you go, step 3 is done, and you don't have to over tighten those bolts as long as they're snug. We're ready for step 4. Step 4, the final step, you're almost done. Hang in there, we're almost done. So, the moisture separator goes on first. Now, you'll notice there's an out sticker on the low side and an in sticker on the high side, and there's a reason for that. So the inlet is on the high side. You're going to connect that straight to your compressor with whatever fittings, fork claws, whatever's customized to your setup. And then on the outside, notice that's where we put our ball valve. And that's important because water will not drain on the high side. So there's a ball valve over here too, but make sure you put it on the low side by the out sticker so that the water can drain when you crack that open. Also, the way that the air flows, it comes in from the compressor on the high side, right? And it goes out on the low side. So when you're hooking this up, you need to make sure that the arrow on your moisture separator is going the same way as the airflow would be. So there's a little arrow, and it's kind of hard to see, but right there. As I just showed you, it was pointing this way, so you need to have it pointing that way. If this is not attached to your moisture separator when it comes, this nipple, you're going to want to make sure you put that on the right side so you can attach this the right way. All right, there we go. The moisture separator is on nice and snug. Now we're ready for our air drop, and this might look different for whatever customer, whoever orders this, whether you're having more than one person breathing out of this, but this is your optional air drop that's going to go towards the blaster towards your setup. So whatever air you're running, cooling devices, you're going to want to make sure you have this if that's what you're running, so then you can supply air to your helmet and whoever is blasting. So this goes right next to your moisture separator, and you really can't mess this one up. This doesn't even have to be perfectly flat when you hook it up, just because it makes it a little easier to put your attachments on. So you want to make sure this is nice and straight so then it can bleed out the water at a nice angle, but this one is not as important. There you have it. That's it. Simple, how to put your aftercooler together. Whether it's a 250 or a 400 that you saw in your last video, you can do this. We just recently sent a 250 aftercooler to our buddy and one of our customers, Nick Rysocker, down in southern Minnesota, and he absolutely loved this. He couldn't thank us enough. He went from wet media and a shitload of swear words to now dry media and a happy customer. So if you need any trucking, his phone number and social security will be linked at the bottom of this video. And remember, have a blast.